Good day, everyone. It's good to be back again. If you're new, please subscribe and like and share. And thanks for everyone who has been engaging me on the comments and trying to have a discussion. So today I'm going to be talking about the Kenya Airways issue and the strike that has been happening in Kenya Airways. Kenya Airways has been termed as the pride of Africa, but over the years, that seems to be a more theoretical thing rather than a practical thing. Kenya Airways for 8 years has not made any profit. Kenya Airways has been operating on the basis of donations in terms of they keep making losses, but the taxpayers' money, because when people keep pushing this, it's the government. They don't push that the government gets money from the taxpayer, so it's the taxpayer money. It's us Kenyans who are literally entering into our pocket and making Kenya Airways afloat. And why is Kenya Airways in this situation? It baffles me because Kenya Airways used to be the pride of Africa. Airlines like Ethiopian Airlines and Rwanda Airlines came the other day and they've already overtaken Kenya Airways. Ethiopian Airlines, for example, it's between the last year and this year, they've made a profit of 50 billion, or they've made money $500 billion, 50 billion. And if you look at where Kenya Airways is today, I can try to put there are few issues that has made Kenya Airways not to be competitive again. First thing is the mismanagement. I feel Kenya Airways has a lot of corruption and mismanagement. I'm talking from the point of the board and the people who manage the airline. You remember we had an issue of where Kenya Airways had contracted KLM to work together, and Kenya Airways was paying huge fees to KLM, and they were contracting a rival company to market for them. It doesn't make sense. It's like Safaricom or Airtel contracting Airtel to market Safaricom. So this contract shows you that there's a lot of corruption, and no one cares even when entering into this kind of contracts, even though they are going to put the airline to its deathbed. Another issue you look at is high rate of nepotism and tribalism. Kenya has been accused of favorism and highly, a nepoticide circle. It's a members club only, and this in turn, puts unqualified people in positions rather than the most qualified people. Because even if they're all qualified, there surely has to be the most qualified people. So you find that the fact that there's tribalism and nepotism, people who are a bit qualified, but because they know someone, have a higher advantage. And another thing I feel that the reason why Kenya is not succeeding is because it has now become a political branch. There's a lot of politics, especially it looks like the national politics, the politics of division and deceit have entered Kenya. You find that it has a lot of big political actors. And when there's politics, politics are about personal interest. And that's why you find that Kenya is not performing. There has been talks that Kenya leases planes from people in government. People in government own planes, they lease them to Kenya Airways. Kenya Airways pays very big money to lease those planes, and that's why they intend charging the ticket, and that's why Kenya Airways cannot become competitive. And it's very interesting that Kenya prides itself as as an ambient of private economy in terms of the structures here allow that private ownerships can flourish. You look at the Ethiopian airline in comparison, you realize that the Ethiopian airline is owned 100% by the government. But why isn't it facing the same issues of corruption, mismanagement? Because we expect that anywhere the government owns something, especially in Africa, there's supposed to be mismanagement. It seems that the Ethiopians understand, how the airline can be a big asset in terms of diplomacy and projecting Ethiopian power and Ethiopian, and marketing Ethiopia as a destination, because we all must agree that Ethiopia now is more famous because of the Ethiopian airline. I don't think there's any airline in Africa, whether South Africa, where Nigeria, Rwanda, that is now more famous than Ethiopian airline. In fact, if you want to travel on a budget, but still remain a bit classy, Ethiopian airline is the best airline to choose. And the Ethiopian government has really, really done a commendable job, because now the Ethiopian airline is marketing the Ethiopian country. And that's what Kenya Airways was meant to do. Market Kenya as the destination, the pride of Africa. People who want to come to Kenya, they use Kenya Airways. You remember Kenya Airways had these pictures of lions, Masai Mara, the whole infrastructure on tourism was built also around Kenya Airways. But now it's gone. The strike has made Kenya to lose a lot of money, lose a lot of credibility, because if I'm a person who uses Kenya Airways, I will not use Kenya Airways ever again. In fact, if I was to use now, because a lot of people, their tickets have been canceled, this has created a demoralized customer base, because realistically, you have the customer is the greatest asset. And if you disappoint him, if I was using Kenya Airways from now on, I'll use Emirates and Qatar, because Kenya Airways has proved that it's inconsistent, it's unreliable, and probably I can book a flight to somewhere and then all of a sudden there's a strike and I'm stranded there. What if I didn't have extra money to survive the next 3 days? What's going to happen? And Kenya Airways clearly shows it's not the pride of Africa anymore. It has dipped deep down to the bottom. And it's very interesting. I tried to read something so that you guys can understand why Kenya Airways is not the pride of Africa. Kenya Airways had a head start in the airline industry in Africa. Now, as we speak, Ethiopia is the largest airline in Africa. And this is what Ethiopia has managed to achieve. Ethiopia owns 49% of Nigerian air. Ethiopia has become so big, it's buying even other airlines. Very soon, even Kenya Airways might be bought by Ethiopia if you continue joking. It owns 49% of Nigerian air. Ethiopia Airline owns Askai Airlines, 40% of Zambia. These are national carriers. It owns them. Ethiopian Airlines owns 45% of Air Malawi. Ethiopia Airlines owns 49% of Air Chad. And Ethiopia owns 49% of Guinea Airways. So typically Ethiopia owns 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It owns 5 national carriers in Africa. It owns, for sure, it owns less than 50%, but it's more than 45% in all the national carriers. So this shows you that Ethiopia is a very, very big player in the airline industry. And my projection is if Ethiopian Airline continues like this, Ethiopia is going to dominate the African skies, because what Ethiopian Airline has learned is that the biggest market for airline and transport services is in Africa, because Africa does not have that access to airlines anymore. In Europe, in America already, they're used to airlines, but remember the population of Africa is 1 billion. So Ethiopia is banking on the continent of Africa. So if it solidifies itself, and when now the African countries people start making money and airlines fare becomes cheap and using a plane becomes a normal thing, Ethiopia is banking that this is what's going to happen. They are going to be controlling the airline industry, and it's going to be a very, very big conglomerate. It saddens me that as a Kenyan, that this is where we are now. Kenya Airways has now become a political arm, and I feel even with this strike, even though people are saying the pilots, I feel there is the bigger issue here. I feel there are dark forces, especially political dark forces, that are pushing something. I don't know what it is. I might not know, but I feel this issue is bigger than the pilots. The strike doesn't make sense at all. Okay, they are trying to say the remuneration, but I feel they are bigger. There's a bigger player there's an undertone, a big political force. Either way, be at its be, Kenya Airways has really dropped from the pride of Africa. It's shameful that an airline that used to control the skies of Africa, now Ethiopian Airline has taken over. I have nothing about Ethiopian Airline because they have acted really smart. They have played their cards well. And who knows, but I think that we need a major restructuring of Kenya Airways. It can't operate like this. And the more this keeps happening, people are losing faith in the brand. The brand now is becoming a joke. It's becoming now a joke of pilots going on strike, of high prices, unreliability. Kenya Airways is slowly tarnishing its name, and we shouldn't allow that as Kenyans. And also, we shouldn't allow the government to keep on bailing it. Let it start making profit, because now the fact that we keep on bailing it, there's no room for growth and expansion. So that was my take on the Kenya Airways issues. Please engage me, talk me on the comments, and let's discuss how probably we can, what Kenya Airways or what you know, the ideas you can contribute probably to try and see how Kenya Airways can do a turnaround and become, you know, the pride of Africa that we all looked up to. Anyway, guys, it's always good to interact. Cheers and safe. Please share, subscribe, and like, and I'll see you on the next video.